Now it's ESPN, national audience, Stephen A. Smith and the crew running one of their high-profile segments. This was supposed to be wholesome. This was supposed to be about quarterback and head coach, side by side, smiling for the cameras, talking about teamwork, about building something together. A segment meant to sell unity. But instead, it turned into a battlefield. Roughly 8 minutes in, Stephen A. leans in with a question that sounded harmless enough. He asked Shedeur about his role in Cleveland's offensive system. Easy stuff. That's a question you can answer with coach speak, with cliches, with the usual, "I trust the coaches. I just focus on doing my job." That's the answer everybody expected. That's what conventional wisdom told him to say. But Shedeur Sanders isn't here to play politics. He's not here to protect anybody's ego. He sat up straight, locked eyes with the camera, and with surgical timing, he said words that dropped like a nuclear bomb. "I can't control who benches me. I just control what I do on the field. But everybody knows what happens when I actually get to play. And when I tell you the studio exploded, I mean it." You could hear the reaction ripple instantly. Laughter, applause, shouts, the whole 9 yards. The cameras cut from Sanders' calm, unshaken face to Stefanski, and that's when it hit. Stefanski's body language betrayed him. That forced smile, those restless little headset adjustments, the tight shoulders, the rapid blinking. He looked like a man who had just been punched in the gut live on national TV. Let's build a totem pole together. Smash like, subscribe, and comment. If this video hits 2,000 likes, that means we're beating the Green Bay Packers. Let's make it happen. It was cinematic. On one side of the screen, youth, confidence, authenticity. On the other side, the old guard, stiff and rattled, struggling to maintain control. This wasn't just quarterback versus coach. This was generational energy clashing in real time. And then came the internet. Oh my God, the internet! Within minutes, Twitter had him trending. TikTok edits popped up before the commercial break even aired. Instagram flooded with reels. One viral post read, "Sanders just cooked Stefanski live on TV. He's fearless now." Another? "This man really said everybody knows with zero hesitation. Stefanski looks sick. Millions of impressions overnight." By the time I woke up the next morning, Shedeur Sanders wasn't just the Browns' quarterback anymore. He was the face of the NFL's latest cultural earthquake. But let me be clear. This wasn't random. This wasn't some off-the-cuff remark. Insiders are saying this was the climax of a storm that had been building for months. You've got to go all the way back to training camp, when Sanders was controversially suspended. From that moment forward, the relationship between Shedeur and Stefanski was strained. Sanders, even back then, was frustrated. He wanted the offense to breathe. He wanted freedom. He wanted creativity. But Stefanski? He's old school, rigid. He wanted structure, control, predictability. And that clash only intensified as the season went on. Think about this. You've got a young quarterback preparing harder than veterans, putting in the film work, mastering defenses, and outperforming guys in practice. Yet every Sunday he's watching from the sideline. Every week his snaps are stifled. Even when the offensive coordinator pushed for more Sanders time, Stefanski stonewalled it. This wasn't about performance. This was about ego, about authority. So by the time Sanders sat in that ESPN studio, he knew exactly what he was doing. Those words weren't accidental. They were precise, measured. They were the kind of words you drop when you've had enough, and when you know the numbers back you up. Because let's not forget the numbers. Despite limited playing time, Sanders has been elite. Higher completion rate than the starter. More yards per attempt. 0 interceptions. Multiple touchdowns. And the biggest stat of all? Explosive plays. When Shedeur steps on the field, the Browns light up. The offense comes alive. Receivers have admitted privately that their chemistry with him blows every other quarterback on the roster out of the water. And that's not me speculating. That's straight from the locker room. And speaking of the locker room, here's where it gets fascinating. On the surface, guys stayed neutral. Veterans smiled for the cameras, said the right things. But behind the scenes? Oh, loyalties are shifting. Linemen are grumbling about predictable play calls. Wideouts are quietly thrilled every time Sanders takes a snap. Defensive leaders are flat out admitting that organizational dysfunction is wasting this team's potential. When Sanders spoke out, he wasn't just speaking for himself. He was speaking for half that locker room. National analysts picked up on it immediately. Shannon Sharp roared that Sanders just went from rookie to franchise cornerstone in one sentence. Colin Cowherd framed it as a generational passing of the torch. Skip Bayless called it exactly what it was. Young, fearless talent telling the NFL, "I'm not here to bow down to anybody." Meanwhile, Stefanski sat there, body language giving him away. Sports psychologists have already dissected the footage. Tight shoulders, defensive posture, rapid blinking, classic signs of stress under fire. One consultant summed it up perfectly. Stefanski looked like a man blindsided, unprepared for a direct strike on his authority. And then came the fallout. Wednesday morning, reports surfaced that Sanders' agent had already met with the Browns' front office. On the table, an expanded role, input into play calling, even whispers about future contract adjustments. Translation: Sanders isn't just winning the media battle, he's converting public momentum into real organizational leverage. The front office panicked. Owner Jimmy Haslam convened emergency meetings. GM Andrew Barry got caught in the crossfire, stuck defending a coach who was losing control while knowing his quarterback was outproducing the depth chart. It was chaos. Stefanski was suddenly on an island. And the fans? Oh, the fans lit up. Older fans grumbled about respect for hierarchy. Younger fans exalted Sanders as a savior. On Reddit, one top comment read, "Finally, someone with a backbone in Cleveland. Stefanski has wasted this roster for years." Another, "Sanders just became my favorite Brown. The kid refuses to accept mediocrity." Hashtags started trending. Jersey sales skyrocketed. Sports bars were packed. The city was buzzing in a way it hasn't in years. By Thursday, it got even more serious. Reports came out that multiple Browns veterans had requested a private audience with ownership. Let that sink in. Players going directly over the head coach's head. That's not normal. That's not politics as usual. That's mutiny. That's players planting their flag and saying, "This is our guy. Stefanski is not." And that's when it broke. Tuesday morning, trusted outlets confirmed what we all suspected. Kevin Stefanski had submitted his resignation. The official statement dressed it up as philosophical differences. But let's be real. The truth is obvious. The balance of power had shifted. Stefanski's authority was shattered live on television, and Shedeur Sanders was the hammer that did it. So where does that leave us? In less than a week, Sanders transformed from controversial rookie into the cornerstone of the Cleveland Browns. Expanded responsibilities, offensive schemes tailored to his strengths, a locker room rallying behind him, a city that hasn't had a true quarterback icon in decades finally uniting behind one. And Stefanski, once seen as the steady hand, the stabilizer, he's now a cautionary tale, a reminder of what happens when you ignore talent, when you cling too tightly to control, when you underestimate the power of authenticity in the modern NFL. Because this story, it's bigger than just Cleveland. It's bigger than football. It's about leadership. It's about generational change. It's about the reality that in today's NFL, true power belongs to the players who perform, inspire, and refuse to bow to outdated authority. Shedeur Sanders didn't just survive the storm. He became the storm. He's the future. And the revolution in Cleveland? It's not coming. It already happened. Now the score tells one story, but the aftermath? That's where the truth lives. For months now, the entire city of Cleveland has been echoing the same chant, "Start Shedeur Sanders." And honestly, who could blame them? The kid shredded preseason defenses, dropping dimes like a veteran. The training camp highlights? Viral. Analysts? Comparing him to the elites before he even touched a regular season snap. Even Jimmy Haslam, the man who owns the team, stepped out publicly and said, "Yeah, that's my guy." And yet Stefanski, week after week, he kept that kid nailed to the bench, while fans and teammates watched lesser quarterbacks drag the offense through the mud. But Sunday night changed everything. Because after that humiliation on national TV, Shedeur didn't slip quietly out the back door. He didn't hide behind a PR-crafted statement. No. He picked up his phone, went live on Instagram, and in 24 words dismantled his head coach's authority right there in front of millions. Calm voice, steady tone, but his words cut deeper than any interception or blown play ever could. He said, "I told them I was ready. Everyone knows I was ready. Tonight showed you what happens when I'm not out there. That was it. 24 words. And with them, Kevin Stefanski's career in Cleveland may have just ended. And let me be crystal clear. What happened inside that locker room after the loss wasn't some normal post-game sulk. Multiple sources have painted the same picture. Complete organizational meltdown. Veterans questioning decisions out loud. Young guys voicing their frustration, saying their careers are being wasted. The atmosphere? Toxic, reportedly beyond repair. And here's the kicker. People close to Shedeur say this wasn't just an emotional outburst. This was calculated. This was a move that had been months in the making. You want to talk about a powder keg? Stefanski's refusal to admit Shedeur was the best quarterback on this team after the kid dominated camp, dominated preseason, and won over literally everyone around him. That refusal was the match. And Sunday night's embarrassment was the spark that set it off. And it's not just fans saying it anymore. One veteran reportedly told local media, "The fans know it, the league knows it, and even Stefanski knows it." He just wouldn't admit it. Bidet, when your own locker room is saying that, you're finished. The respect is gone. And guys, the numbers don't lie either. Against Baltimore, Cleveland's offense put up a pathetic 187 total yards. The starter threw for 156 yards with 2 picks. Meanwhile, Shedeur sat there, helmet on, watching yet another winnable game slip into the abyss, all because of coaching stubbornness. But here's where this story explodes. Word is, his teammates have been begging behind closed doors for weeks. Offensive linemen saying they feel more confident protecting him. Receivers raving about his accuracy. Defensive players even questioning why their own offense refuses to maximize its talent. Everyone inside that building could see it. Everyone except the man holding the headset. And then comes the moment that might have sealed Stefanski's fate. Jimmy Haslam's breaking point. The reports coming out of Berea are wild. After that Ravens game, Haslam cornered Stefanski in his office and straight up demanded answers. Why is Shedeur still on the bench? The fans want him. The players want him. I want him. What's your excuse? Stefanski tried to give him some textbook coach talk, development timelines, practice performance, chemistry. But Haslam wasn't having it. Witnesses say the owner exploded. Team chemistry? Look around, Kevin. The team wants Shedeur. You're the only one creating problems. Then he stormed out. And just like that, Stefanski's authority was gone. Dead. And this isn't just about quarterback decisions anymore. Haslam has apparently been questioning Stefanski's game management, his play calling, his personnel choices for weeks. The Sanders situation? That's just the straw that broke the camel's back. But let's not forget the fans. Because what happened outside First Energy Stadium that night wasn't just frustration, it was revolt. People were holding up signs within minutes of the final whistle. Fire Stefanski. Start Shedeur. Social media lit up like a bonfire. Fire Stefanski trended nationwide. Shedeur's name racked up millions of impressions overnight. And if you've followed this fan base for decades, you know how much patience they've had to have. But Sunday? That patience evaporated, and it wasn't just fans. Former Browns legends started chiming in. Bernie Kosar, Joe Thomas, even representatives of the late Jim Brown, all backing Shedeur. When the guys who built your history start calling you out, that's checkmate. Then the national media piled on. Stephen A. Smith went nuclear on ESPN. Skip Bayless called it the most devastating rookie power move he's ever seen. Colin Cowherd said it's not about football anymore. It's about respect. One rookie quarterback just destroyed a veteran coach without even stepping on the field. And here's the wild part. Even Roger Goodell reportedly got involved. According to multiple sources, the league office is furious about how Cleveland's handling this. Why? Ratings. The NFL knows Shedeur is a goldmine. Young, charismatic, electric, a walking storyline. His preseason highlights already moved numbers, but Cleveland's conservative quarterback choices? They're tanking viewership. Apparently, Goodell's camp reached out to the Browns, making it crystal clear. This isn't just about your team anymore. This is about the league. And the league wants Shedeur Sanders on that field. Let's build a totem pole together. Smash like, subscribe, and comment. If this video hits 2,000 likes, that means we're beating the Green Bay Packers. Let's make it happen. Inside the locker room, veterans started lining up behind him, publicly. One of the Browns' captains even went on radio and said flat out, "Shedeur gives us the best chance to win, period. Everyone in this building knows it." That's a dagger. Once players start saying things like that out loud, the hierarchy collapses. And then came the social media bomb. That Instagram Live, 50 million views in under 12 hours. It wasn't just viral, it became a cultural moment. Analysts were calling it a masterclass in professionalism. Calm tone, clear message, devastating effect. No yelling, no whining, just truth. And the truth humiliated Stefanski in a way no opponent ever could. Marketing experts are already calling this the moment Shedeur Sanders became bigger than Cleveland. He went from promising rookie to national storyline overnight. The Browns may still be a mess, but their young quarterback, he just positioned himself as the future face of the league. Meanwhile, the numbers continue to scream the same story. The Browns' offense ranks near the bottom of the league in almost every category. Shedeur's preseason stats? Among the best in the entire NFL. His presence made the offensive line look better, the receivers sharper, even the defense stronger. Every advanced metric proves it. Shedeur Sanders makes everyone around him better. And yet, he's sitting. By Tuesday morning, Cleveland was living through a nightmare scenario. Fans rooting against their own team, sponsors getting nervous, players divided. The city itself held hostage until Shedeur takes the field. And when your own fans are praying for your failure just so change can finally come, that's not just a coaching problem. That's a franchise crisis. And it's a crisis that ends one way. Shedeur Sanders is QB1. The only question now is whether Kevin Stefanski survives long enough to admit it, because make no mistake, Sunday night wasn't just a loss. It was the night Shedeur Sanders changed everything.